people in the aerospace field, people like at SpaceX or NASA, the United States Air Force, and they've been advising me on what they need from students. The Air Force guy was really excited about this school because he said that he gets a lot of people who come to him at 18 or 20 years old at the Air Force Academy, and they never learned physics, they never learned math, they didn't know when they were younger how important it would be, and they wished that they had realized when they were younger how it was connected to their dreams. And so, of course, I said on Mars, mistakes are very expensive, and that includes logical mistakes. Mistakes about belief or emotion, those are also something that on Earth can be somewhat expensive. And especially, like you said, we're heading toward a future where even on Earth, the wrong mindset, the wrong way of thinking could be very, very expensive. But not yet. We don't see it yet. People still are kind of blind to the problem. And if you start teaching kids to imagine they're on Mars, suddenly they understand why a single lie or self-deception could cause a catastrophic series of problems. So if somebody stole a little bit of water and then didn't tell anyone, suddenly the tank doesn't have quite enough water, so when we try to do the chemical reaction, it fails and it implodes and it causes a fire, right? So, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. We can see how these connections happen. Somebody tells themselves, well, it's just a couple of drops of water that I stole, or more likely alcohol. I stole a little alcohol to drink. I don't want to tell people because then they'll think that I'm an alcoholic. But now the tank doesn't have enough. Suddenly the crop dies because we didn't give it the right mixture of chemicals in the fertilizer. Yeah. And so on. So that's why my school does connect to some of the ideas that you're working on, I think.
Yes.
Because we need to, yes. I mean, especially because in the future, I believe on Earth and Mars, whatever, we're going to need people who have a really good control of their emotions. Whether it's because of fear or because of entertainment, people are going to have strong incentives to follow their strongest emotions. And so on Mars, there's going to be a constant psychological pressure of feeling like you're trapped with the same 50 people forever, or feeling like you can never go outside, without being trapped inside a suit. And, just as an example, that feeling alone could cause catastrophic failure of the whole society. And, likewise on Earth, I think if we have algorithms that create perfect entertainment, we're going to have people, fall into their screens, in a sense, and never come back. So I'm hoping that the school will create people that are capable of surviving the future, the singularity, and so on. I do think Mars could be kind of an antidote to the future that Earth seems headed toward, where everything feels good all the time, and you don't have to think about anything that doesn't feel good.
Let me say something about the because a couple of years ago I wrote an article for Mars One, if I remember well, and my approach to the matter of colonizing Mars is that a colony on Mars, educationally speaking, will be incredibly, not only interesting, but incredibly productive in terms of understanding what can we do to create a substantial betterment in our life and our future. What I'm trying to say is that on Mars, our natural qualities of adapting will be triggered dramatically. And that's how our biology is wired. This is how our brain is wired. There's a popular misconception about the concept of evolution, Darwinian evolution, and the commonly intended perception of evolution. People think that evolution is about becoming better. Well, it's not at all about that. Evolution is about adapting the best we can, because that's the way to survive. But what I'm working with and at is, can we also fuel a betterment, an evolutionary betterment, in terms of psychological evolution for the better? And I would say yes. And I strongly believe that this combination I propose between the understanding of memes, metamemetic thinking, and hardcore critical thinking. And by the way, I'm also in the process of starting a school as well, which is called School for Applied Deep Mind, which is pretty much all about this. I think this is essential for our future, essential for our future in general, essential to prepare us with the impact of future AI to come. And about Mars, I think what is very important is this circumstance where people that are going to live there, their abilities to adapt will be, as I said, triggered greatly, but what will reveal itself as something incredibly essential, as you said, is will be the necessity to refine their thinking skills for the better, in terms of decision accuracy, sound accuracy, decision making, multilogical thinking instead of monological thinking. And it's not really quite about controlling emotions. I would call it more like educating our emotions, being capable to filter the productive elements offered by our natural emotional processes, and being capable to identify mimetic emotions, false emotions. So for instance, like as you say, that even a drop of water is really nothing. On Mars, it means a lot, and on Mars, it becomes a super powerful meme. It's not only a symbol or a drop of water. Even so many things. The way people will use the tone of the voice will become a meme. So, because we want to be in our natural environment, and our natural qualities of adapting will be directly connected with technology and knowledge about how to manage the gardens, the environment, the pressure, all of that. It is absolutely crucial to send people there that are prepared, not only willing to refine their thinking skills, but actually prepared and trained in that way. Because as you say, that like a very small mistake can really result in a catastrophic series of events, and you cannot fire a person on Mars. You cannot. You cannot.
Right, that's a very Earth-like solution, is to just fire the person. Just throw away the whole person.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not going to work there.
Yeah, it's such an expensive resource. I mean, you probably spent $5 billion to get that person to Mars.
Yeah.
And I would just say yes. The reason I also thought the school made sense from the industry point of view, the point of view of real space exploration, was that right now the average astronaut only starts preparing to be an astronaut when they are 15 or 18 or 20 years old. And that's when they decide, oh wow, my work, my studies, my skill training is really directed toward being good at space exploration, right? So Neil Armstrong, first man on the moon, when you asked him at 12 years old, what do you want to do when you grow up? He was not saying, well, I'm going to be an astronaut, and right now, in my schooling and in my extracurricular activities, I'm preparing to be in space. No. He started preparing, in some sense, when he was 18 or 20 and started becoming a pilot. And then when they found him for NASA, maybe he was 25 years old, and they gave him several years of preparation for extreme gravity, zero gravity, working in a spacesuit, collecting rocks, geology. But even then, his preparation started very late in life. When you think about the mindset needed to really survive, like you said, we have to send people to Mars who are prepared, but the depth of preparation needs to be wired very, very hard into their mind. And I think that really the best way, the only way, is to start with people who are 5 instead of 15. When you start with a 5-year-old, you can start with someone who's still very neuroplastic and can change their brain a lot, and still get them to Mars young enough that they can actually have children on Mars. Right now, with the system we have in place, I think we could get people ready for Mars, but they would be ready for Mars at 40 or 45 years old. 45-year-old people to Mars, they're mentally ready for it. They've spent years and years and years practicing in their mind. Now they're 45 and they're on Mars, and you realize, wait, I can't have children. Like, what's the point? They're just going to have to bring more people from Earth. Well, how old are those people going to be? 40, 45 years old by the time they're ready. You're going to have a big temporary population and no ability to sustain itself. And you have to get around that. You have to figure out a way to send people to Mars at 30 who are still prepared, like for a total change of their life, of their mind, and of their environment. And that's when I thought, yes, we should be starting with children. And it's helpful that there are only 2 kinds of people that want to go to Mars, like my father said. My dad told me, you'd have to be crazy to want to go to Mars. It's like hell, right? It's super hostile to human life. Did I lose you?
Sorry?
Oh, I just wanted to make sure that our connection was still good.
No, I'm listening.
Cool. My dad said, I don't know anyone who wants to go to Mars unless they're crazy. And I said, yeah, Dad, but you're only thinking about adults. When a 5-year-old says they want to go to Mars, they're not crazy, because there's a chance that they could actually do the right preparation to make it, survive on Mars, and even enjoy it. Yes, when a 30-year-old decides, I want to go to Mars, I'm ready, like with Mars 1, right? There's a little bit of crazy there, because even I would be crazy if I said I really think I'm ready for Mars. And I've spent years thinking about it. But I know emotionally, I'm not the right person. I waste time. My dad is right, but my dad wasn't remembering that for every crazy adult who thinks that they're ready for Mars with no preparation, there's a 5-year-old who says they want to do it, and they're not crazy. They just need support that doesn't exist yet. And so, now, before I go back to work, and I'd love to continue talking again, you mentioned Metamemetic a few times. I was wondering if you have any resource online or article that I should start with to learn more about your ideas on that.
I can send you the video of my lecture where I'm explaining there the concept of metamemetic thinking, but not really in depth. But I think it's enough because the concept is quite complex. It's easy to misconceive it. But I'm very fascinated by your work. I would like to understand how and if we can work together in some way, somehow.
Yes.
And I'm sorry?
I'm agreeing. Yes, I would too. I would as well. We need to you can find children all over the world who want to be an astronaut. You could go to Brazil, you can go to Lithuania. You'll find children who say, yes, I want to go to space. The problem is you need to find parents who support it enough. Yeah. And so I've looked for places where there's a concentration of people who are in the aerospace industry. And the people that are the most focused on Mars colonization by far are the people that work for SpaceX. Well, SpaceX has many thousands of employees, 6,000 employees, and almost all of them work in Hawthorne, which is a neighborhood in Los Angeles. Okay, first of all, I could probably start a school anywhere once these schools are well known and once they have proven their track record and they have a proven curriculum. Then we could put them anywhere. But the first one needs to be in a place where people already really want it and really believe in the idea, even if it's not proven. And so I want to open the first one for anyone in the area, but hoping that the SpaceX employees will be the germ or the seed to start. It helps that the average SpaceX employee is 28, 30, 32 years old. They're all in that perfect phase of life where they're just starting to have children and they're starting to buy a house and think in those terms. And meanwhile, every day they go to work in a building that has a picture of Mars on the wall, where Mars has been terraformed and it now has a blue ocean and atmosphere and green on the land. So they don't just work for a company that builds rockets. They work for a company that wants to make Mars a different world. And I thought, well, these people work at SpaceX, but they might live all over the city. And the only way a school will work for them is if I put it right next to SpaceX. Because if I try to put it 10 miles east, then for some parents, that's just an extra hour and a half of driving every day. Los Angeles traffic is so horrible, you know. So the logical thing to do for the first location is put it within 1 mile of SpaceX, and that way, not only do I have a good nucleus of parents who already are driving in that direction every day, but also kids want to do a field trip and go study things. They're going to be just a mile from SpaceX, miles from Boeing, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, and all the other aerospace companies that work at the airport, the Los Angeles airport, as well as the Space and Missile Command, Los Angeles Airport, is over in Long Beach. And so, yeah, this is the first location. So I've actually found a few buildings that are ideal. They typically will be like a commercial building with 3 or 4 stories, and that works well for my school design, where we have the grades are broken up into 3 or 4 larger units. And then we can get into more detail.
Sounds fantastic.
But that's where I'm at. We're trying to create a private school model where we purposely make sure that we bring children in from every social class. And so the tuition will be based on the parents' income.
Point in education is not only about learning and repeating in order to fit. The point in education is learning and understanding what we learn and how to apply that according with what the personal talent is all about. And that's pretty much my approach. And to me, the understanding of memes at school will be something wonderful because it's very visual. It is complex, but it's not like critical thinking. It's not about studying formulas to understand things. It's far more direct. And it is absolutely important. It's incredibly important for the future, particularly because we have never been in such a tremendous race of memetic thinking like we are today. We have so many memes today because of the internet, because of the overload of information we have to process every day. We have never been like that before. And this is wonderful, but also creates plenty of problems. That's why we have fake news. People freak out of maybe the lack of likes on social media, all this sort of stuff. So the matter of meme is incredibly important for the future.
I'm looking forward to looking at your lecture and talking more about it, especially because one thing that weighs on me is that we are now at a point where for the common person, it's going to be very hard for them to believe any evidence. It's going to be a state of affairs where we will need people to be more sophisticated thinkers. Some people are going to just give up and say, well, I just believe what I feel. And so for me, I think we definitely need solutions that help people learn how to identify lies even when they look perfect.
Yeah. There's the problem. What usually people go for what makes them feel good, but ignoring that what makes us feel good is not necessarily what is the right thing to do and the right thing to think. And that's a major modern problem.